There is always that one thing that science just can't explain. But science wouldn't be as nearly as advanced if scientists just gave up after failing once. Things that used to be completely unimaginable 2 decades ago are now a part of our lives, which means that unanswered questions never stay a mystery for long. But before we get to the questions that scientists don't have the answers to, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. The beginning of life on Earth. You've probably heard many theories on how life on Earth started. Some are religious and others purely scientific, but no matter the theory, there are always those who don't agree with certain aspects of it. For example, one of the most dominant theories is the idea of the primordial soup, which states that our planet formed complex molecules that brought life into existence. However, scientists who stand by this theory don't share the same opinion as to where life appeared first. Was it in the soil, under ice, or volcanic craters? They might agree on the bigger picture, but it's the fine details that leave a lot of open questions. How does the placebo effect work? The placebo effect is a phenomenon that has no evident therapeutic effects, but helps people feel better after taking pseudo-medication. And although it leaves many open questions, there are several theories as to how it works. Some scientists believe that our consciousness is capable of doing something that makes our body heal, because the patients believe the treatment is working, whereas others claim that placebo has no effect at all. Then there are those who believe that a simple conversation with a licensed physician can help people feel better and heal. How can artificial intelligence understand what we say? Human language has a complex structure that is not as simple to explain as some might think. On the other hand, for artificial intelligence to understand what we say, it only needs adequate interpretation, and that's the simplified explanation. For example, if you want to say, "Eat this bowl of soup," an average human would do exactly what was said. Eat a bowl of soup because the bowl is the amount of soup. Since artificial intelligence can't fully comprehend the context of a phrase, it would understand it as an order or instruction to eat the bowl. At the moment, artificial intelligence is not as good at understanding the context as humans are, so it's impossible for it to fully understand what we say. At least, that's what we're told. For all we know, there might already be an AI planning to become the next Skynet. If science is constantly wrong, is it possible that we don't know anything at the moment? Scientific facts spend a lot of time in draft mode, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that we know absolutely nothing. It means that humanity is in the process of learning things, and that some theories that seem true now might be refuted later. This might sound ridiculous, but it's quite normal as we learn something new in the process. People believed flying was impossible, until the principles of aerodynamics proved everyone wrong. But will we ever learn everything? Probably not. Wait, isn't that obvious? Just because you're familiar with something doesn't instantly make it obvious. Do this. Try to retrace your learning and ask yourself whether something was obvious before you learned it. This is a phenomenon science refers to as retrospective prejudice. It means that when you're explaining a somewhat complex matter to someone, you realize that it's perfectly logical and true. That's why we often feel that some things are obvious and could never be different. But that's just obvious to us, not others. Do human pheromones exist? Have you ever tried to sense fear, lust, or a person of the opposite sex from a distance? Well, you might have, but your attempts were useless. You just can't do it. However, people have been known to recognize their friends and family simply by smelling them. Smells trigger certain chemical signals, which is why the natural smell of a breath or someone's body leads to certain reactions. Nevertheless, if human pheromones do exist, there is no clear way of understanding how our body can decode that chemical signal. How do animals migrate? Did you know that animals can travel thousands of miles so they could escape from extreme temperatures, look for food, or even find a mate? Scientists are aware that some species use Earth's magnetic field for navigation, but science is far from understanding all the mechanisms of migration. Can ghost sighting be explained? Before we start, you need to know that all spiritual practices have scientific explanations that are closely connected with physiological processes. For example, disruption of processes in the temporal parietal area can cause out-of-body experiences. Sleep paralysis is a phenomenon that used to cause terror before it was recently explained by science. However, ghost sighting is not the same experience for all people, and science has failed to explain countless ghost encounters. But scientists do agree on one thing: your body is somehow responsible for it. Do people see the world the same way you do? This is another question science does not have the answer to. Who's to say that colorblind people don't see the true colors of the world, and it's the rest of us who are seeing the colors wrong? We can't even be sure that the sky is the same color blue for everyone on Earth. What was there before the Big Bang? As far as science is concerned, there was nothing before the Big Bang, because there is no such thing as before, when before is nothing. No time, no space, just nothing. However, this is also considered the weakest part of the theory, because it's suggesting that something was created out of pure nothingness. But then again, the word nothing doesn't have the same meaning to scientists as it does to regular Joes like you and me.